This NDP-Liberal government's inflationary spending is making everything more expensive, proving once again that the Prime Minister is just not worth the cost. Food Banks Canada has reported that in March of this year, almost 2 million Canadians visited food banks. That's a 78.5% increase since March of 2019. Rent has doubled, mortgages have doubled, and the number of Canadians needing food banks is skyrocketing. So when will this coalition government end their wasteful inflationary spending so Canadians can afford to eat?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Mr. Speaker, every day in this House, Conservatives stand up and talk about the lineups at our food banks as if food security in this country or food insecurity just became a thing. While our government created the first ever national food policy for Canada, invested in the local food infrastructure fund, invested over $100 million on food security organizations during COVID-19, and advanced social protections that lifted 2.7 million Canadians out of poverty, what did the Stephen Harper Conservatives do, Mr. Speaker? Nada. Nothing. Zilch. So if the Conservatives have finally woken up to the fact that food security is a need in this country, they can vote for the Affordability Act.
The honourable member from Parry Sound, Muskoka.
Well, Mr. Speaker, we know that food insecurity is not a new thing. It's only been getting worse under this Liberal-NDP coalition. In fact, 67% of those using food banks this year were living in market rental housing and paying so much they couldn't afford groceries. What's worse is children now make up 33% of food bank clients. So the NDP Liberal talking points and photo ops are clearly not working. So when would they end their inflationary spending so we can keep roofs over our heads and kids out of food banks?
L'honorable secrétaire parlementaire.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker. The UN Special Rapporteur on the Right to Food reported as many as 4.3 million Canadians were food insecure in 2011 and said, and I quote, "A growing number of people across Canada are unable to meet their basic food needs." That was in the dark era of the Conservatives for almost a decade, where food insecurity continued to get worse and worse and worse. So I don't know when the Conservatives finally woke up and realized that this was a major issue in this country, but they did nothing for over a decade. So here we are addressing the issue, lifting 2.7 million Canadians out of poverty. I wish they would get on board and do something for once to actually support Canadians.